This is the City of Waupaca's City Plan Commission meeting.
Well, let's go ahead and get going. It's the witching hour. It's 5:16. We're going to go ahead and hold, I believe we have one public hearing item. Aaron, would you mind reading the purpose of the public hearing, please?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Henry. So this public hearing is for a conditional use permit for Times Square Joint Venture, LLP. This is in relation to the U-Haul building. This has gone through several steps through Plan Commission lately, and we'll get into that in the agenda. This is for Unit 1 only. It was recently a condo plat, and not Unit 2, so that's the west part, the old Kmart building. And we will talk more about it in the meeting.
Okay. So this is a time for the public to have input on this item. Is there anyone that wishes to speak in favor of the conditional use permit? I believe you come up to the podium, state your name, and limit your comments to about 3 minutes. Anybody wishing to speak in favor of the conditional use permit? All right, seeing none, anyone in care to speak against the conditional use permit or in opposition to, same thing, come to the mic, state your name and address, and keep your comments to 3 minutes. Seeing none, we'll go ahead and close this public hearing at 5:18 p.m. Okay, well, let's go ahead and get into the agenda. I'd like to call the December 7, 2022 meeting of the Plan Commission to order. In attendance are Commissioners Barron, Veliker, Olson, and Lesage. I want to call you Lions all the time, Angela. I'm so sorry. Joining us remotely is Mayor Brian Smith. My name is Henry Veliker. He's asked me to stand in and chair the meeting. Commissioners Wayne and Fair are absent. Have I missed? Do I have everybody?
No.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, the first item is the agenda. Is there?
Move to approve the agenda.
Okay.
Second.
Okay. We have a first and a second to approve the agenda. Any further discussion on that? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Number 2, approval of Plan Commission minutes. Could we take them as both of them at November 2nd public hearing minutes and November 2nd, 2022 meeting minutes?
We typically do, don't we?
Yeah, I think we do usually. Unless a commissioner wants to comment on one or the other, we could pull them out separately at that point. But if everybody's good with
to
that,
approve both the public hearing meetings and minutes and the meeting minutes.
okay. Angela made a motion to adopt the minutes as shown on the agenda. Eric has seconded it. Any comments? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, our first action item is the conditional use permit for Times Square Joint Venture LLP owner and Americo Real Estate Company, AREC, the applicant for 830 West Fulton Street. Aaron, do you want to set this item up?
Yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely. Thanks, Henry. And I'm Aaron Jensen, City Administrator. I'm a stand-in for our more articulate Jared Rayque, our Community and Economic Development Director. So on page 9, you will see a memo that Jared put together. Again, as Henry stated, this is for 800 West Fulton Street. It's a conditional use permit application. I want to give a recap very quick of what has happened with this property. We've talked a lot about it at the Plan Commission level and at the City Council level. In the past several months, we've gone through a zoning change due to a dual zoning on this property. We've also had a CSM approval, or Certified Survey Map approval, and also a condo plat approval, all with the idea to move towards this use that we're talking about tonight in the conditional use permit. The page that's up right now on the screen, you'll see the condo plat, and you'll see it's split into two, kind of split down the middle. We are talking right now about Unit 1, which is the west or the left side of this page in the old Kmart building. I'm going to scroll down to our proposed use. Our proposed land use in this conditional use permit application is indoor storage, wholesaling, self-service storage units, mini warehouses, sales, service, and repair. Category M, light-duty vehicles, passenger vehicles, and sales, service, and repair. And Category N, heavy-duty vehicles. That is compliant with this zoning district and actually is a conditional use permit that's allowed through the Fulton Street Corridor Overlay District. As far as compliance, this application does comply with all of the conditional use permit requirements. Jared has noted on page 13 some conditions. I will tell you, they're pretty basic conditions as a part of this approval. Just to go through them very quickly, a conditional use permit, or the conditional use shall be operated and maintained compliant with the requirements of the authorized site plan, certified survey map, and approved condominium plat. Elements and conditions of that site plan, survey map, and condominium plat shall be met and maintained at all times. The applicant shall complete and receive approval of all other zoning permits and building permits for this conditional use permit to remain valid. The site plan changes may require a new site plan permit or an amendment to the conditional use permit, and approval of this conditional use permit request shall be contingent on the previously approved certified survey map and condominium plat being recorded at the Waupaca County Register of Deeds. We do have some representatives from U-Haul here. Ken is with us in person, and Heather is online. I just want to confirm, guys, that you guys are okay with these conditions? Okay.
Yes.
All right. With that being the case, Jared would be recommending, and staff would be recommending, that the Plan Commission would recommend this to City Council, where it would get eventually voted on there.
Okay, so we'd be looking for any kind of comments or questions maybe from commissioners. This is like the first step to reviewing the site plan, right? We got to kind of, take one step to take the next step. So seems pretty straightforward. It's, a great opportunity to redevelop this site that could have easily become a super white elephant for us. So I don't know, do the commissioners want to ask any questions of the applicants or the owner?
Maybe when we get into the site plan
Okay,
review.
sure.
But for now, this is
Pretty
cut and
straightforward.
dry.
One of the conditions, I'm sure it's already happened, the certified survey map being recorded. Has it been recorded? Or maybe you were sort of waiting for this step to occur before you recorded it?
Ken or Heather? I'm not sure.
Can you answer that one?
Hey, Aaron, we were waiting for one more signature, I believe, from the owner. And Jared gave us a deadline on that. I want to say it's maybe next week to get that signature in, so it could be recorded, but we have one last step.
Okay.
Okay.
That sounds good.
Understanding that, okay. All right. Looks like we might be ready to take some action. Does anybody want to make a motion?
Yeah, I'll move that we recommend to council the conditional use permit.
Okay, Commissioner Olson made a motion to approve.
I will second.
Angela has seconded. Any further discussion? All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. The item B, now we're going to discuss item B, I guess, item 3B, the site plan.
All right. Thank you, Henry. This starts on page 33 of your packet, Commissioners. Again, this is a memo that Jared put together, talking about the same property, 800 West Fulton Street, site plan for U-Haul, Unit 1, condo plat. I'm going to scroll down And I'm going to go through I'm not going to go through all of these. You can see Jared does a nice job in putting together a matrix that shows what they are in compliance with and what they are not in compliance with. This one happens to be in compliance with everything, with some noted as conditions upon approval. And you will see those at the very end of his memo. And I'm going to read through those just so everyone understands what those are. Conditions of this suggested approval for the site plan, and then we'll go to the map afterwards. But all proposed landscaping shall be established within 1 year of the approval. Any outdoor storage on the property shall be required to meet all requirements of the code. Any amendments or additions to this site may require a new site plan permit. Exterior lighting shall be designated, located, and shielded so as it's to ensure no spillover onto adjoining parcels. Lighting for this use shall offer sufficient coverage across the new parking lot space so that the safety of the use is maintained. All areas that are disturbed shall be required to be restored with vegetation within 1 year of work completion. Approval of this site plan permit request shall be contingent on the previous approved certified survey map and condominium plat, that sounds familiar, and recorded at the Waupaca County Register of Deeds, and conditional uses permit request being approved by City Council. The size of each parking space shall not be less than 9 feet by 18 feet, exclusive of the space required for ingress and egress. Mechanical equipment such as heating, air conditioning, and ventilation equipment at grade level and all rooftops shall be screened from the public view or located in a manner that is unobtrusive. Appropriate buffers shall be placed and provided between dissimilar uses in accordance with this chapter. Appropriate erosion control measures and stormwater management practices shall be utilized in all new development. Refuse and recycling areas shall be screened by completely enclosing such areas with a fence, wall, or vegetation. Applicant shall work with the city to submit a complete landscaping plan that is compliant with all City of Waupaca landscaping requirements. Applicant shall work with the city and submit a complete detail of the new stormwater feature and system on the property that accomplishes the goals of the Department of Public Works for stormwater management. And it shall be required that an updated site plan for Unit 2 is submitted and approved with the discussed changes to accommodate the use on Unit 1, which is on the east side of that property, or currently in Piggly Wiggly. A couple notes I just want to make on here is that you attached to this, you'll see an application. You'll also see a site plan and an aerial. I'm just going to pull that up very quickly. Some of those things that were referred to as far as landscaping, buffering specifically can be seen here in the green. You can start to get an idea for how traffic will flow throughout the area. There is a narrative attached to this application as well that speaks to a minimal amount of traffic. There's a parking justification, which is a part of our zoning code that they have provided, and Jared feels like that is sufficient, and they have sufficient parking stalls. They also have hours of operation. I see that 7 days a week, it looks like, that you guys will be operating.
We are open every day but Christmas.
Okay. And those specific hours are noted. Probably to some interested Plan Commission members, there's also renderings on what this may look like aesthetically of the current building and the proposed new building that would be on the southwest corner of that property. So with that, I will turn it over to the Plan Commissioners for any questions. Jared is recommending approval upon those conditions. And as a reminder, this does get approved here at Plan Commission and does not move on to council.
I have a question, Aaron. Condition, I guess we're calling them conditions. 14, updated site plan for Unit 2 is submitted and approved with discussed changes. Is that like the common wall you got to do some stuff to, or what's going on with Unit 2 that has to be accommodated?
Good question. I'm going to pull up the site plan really quickly if I can find it.
So what we had discussed, Aaron, with Jared is that we were going to get through our uses, and then we were going to circle back to the east side. But nothing is changing from my understanding except some of the flow and some of the green space on the east side. But he wanted to kind of bring it forward as two separate applications or two separate sites now that it would be separated, and work it that way rather than having everything come through at once.
Okay.
This is Chris Langhoff. Could I add a little bit of explanation?
Absolutely.
I don't. If somebody is showing the site plan, I don't know if it shows the portion of the property that Piggly Wiggly is located on or not. But although not technically required as part of this process, at Jared's request, the owner has agreed to make some changes to the portion of the property right around the main access drive into the property to accommodate certain traffic, to accommodate Jared's request. So, but I believe that's all being handled at the staff level.
Yeah, I think it makes some sense to maybe to try to address that now, because at least the locals will, be used to always using this east access, looks like.
I can speak to maybe directly to your question, Henry. That bullet point or number 14, as you referred to, there may be some other tenants moving in here. Every time a tenant does move in, a site plan is triggered, a new tenant or a new use. So we haven't got that application yet, and it's very possible. I think they've worked with those potential uses in mind, and we may not, this has kind of been agreed upon by a lot of parties. We may not see many changes at all. But if a use comes in there that may be very different, that triggers something else, that would take us back to reviewing it. So,
I know this is probably not germane to what we're talking about, and if you don't want to answer it, don't. But Piggly Wiggly's a tenant, and we're talking to the owner of this whole complex. Is there something you can say about the future of that Unit 2 in the future? Or not? It's more of a business thing, and maybe it's not germane, but it's just it would be interesting to know if there's some opportunities for updates to the east side of the building.
So I can share from what I understand.
Okay.
Piggly Wiggly expect to be in there for long term. Any of the potential new tenants I referred to would be in some of the more vacant spaces in the middle there, and how that would impact things. So that's what I would expect.
Okay. Okay. Does anybody, commissioners, have any questions? Yeah, go ahead.
I don't have a question. I was just going to state that Jared and I have talked about this site quite a bit. U-Haul and the parties that we're working with are making a number of improvements to this site. It's going to be much more greener than what it is currently, a lot less pavement. Obviously, the facade, whatever. A facade, yes. I don't usually work with that. That's an improvement, but the stormwater improvements greatly improved. The access, we kind of almost touched on it, like the driveway to Piggly Wiggly. I mean, that is a really weird traffic pattern there.
Absolutely.
You can see that's being cleaned up as well, and we're very appreciative that all the parties are in agreement of those improvements. So,
The last thing I'll say, I do want to be clear that we are, while we're showing this, as it makes sense to show how it all works together, we are only approving this
absolutely.
Unit 1, and Unit 2 is just there for concept.
right.
Can I ask about the new building? I guess, is there a timeline for that? And then what's going to be happening in the new building that you're building it, and then that would be different from what's going on in the old existing Kmart building?
So
Is it all storage?
I can take that. So yes, it would all be storage. So we have a product line called U-Box, which is actually portable storage. The difficult part of this site is that in the rear of the building there is no loading area. It's like a ground level, so it kind of cuts us off from having the capability to offer that product line. And so it allows us to eat up some of the parking space so you don't have a giant sea of asphalt and allow a new beautiful building in the front of the facility. But with us only taking a portion of the main building, it kind of limits us to offer all product lines. So we are going to add an additional storage building up front.
And then what, do you have a timeline on that?
I would say we're going to try to be open at the main building by the spring. I'm shooting for April 1st is kind of when we gear up our busy season. We would then start construction drawings on that second building. I would probably say the spring of 2024.
Wonderful. Yeah, the drawings look wonderful. Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
It's probably a stupid question. The facade seems to have an elevation of at least a two-story facility. Are you attempting to go up a little bit and create some mezzanine space or something? Is that
It would be
driving
a
the front of the front elevation?
It would be a clear span in the entire facility.
Gotcha. Okay.
We can't disturb. I'm not really sure of the technical terms. Jared was working through it, but we're trying to not disturb. We're trying to keep it within the limits of what we need to do to hit some other requirements. And so it was more feasible for us to go up than it was to go wide to not disturb as much of the current site.
Got it. Well, it's pretty exciting to get this redeveloped, so I don't know. But anyways, are there any more questions of the applicants or owner? All right, maybe we're ready to make a motion.
Okay.
This we approve here, right?
This is approved
Yes.
here, yep. And it would be contingent, of course, upon the council.
Approving a conditional use permit, so you probably want to say
We don't
that in
have
the
Pat
motion.
here asking that question anymore, so it feels kind of lost.
Yeah, someone's got to take that.
The chair can't make a motion, so
All
I don't
right,
think
I
I can.
will make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, Commissioner Lesage made a motion to approve the site plan, conditioned on the council approving the conditional use permit. Commissioner Olson has seconded that motion. Is there any further discussion? All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations. We're kind of on the 1 yard line, I think. We do not have a council meeting on December 20. So, yeah, it'll
We
be
have to wait.
January. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you guys are aware of all that, right? All right, so
Yep,
January
we are.
3rd, council will be reviewing this for action.
Okay.
Okay, good. Well, thank you guys for joining us.
Thank you.
Okay, item 3C is ordinance number 24-2022, amendment to Chapter 17.104 permitted uses and conditional uses.
All right, so this one, Commissioners, starts on page 63. This has come forward at least once, potentially twice, to Plan Commission as a discussion item and not as an action item. It was the direction of Plan Commission the last time we did that, to bring it forward as an ordinance. So that's what Jared has done. He's put it in ordinance form. You can see the clean version, and you can also see the marked up version to see what's changed. This is a table of conditional and permitted uses, and kind of rearranging that. If you do have questions, I can absolutely take a crack at answering them. If it's something that I'm not intricately familiar with, and Jared's conversations and reasoning, I would defer to him. And if you feel comfortable passing tonight on to council, we can. Otherwise, if there are questions that you would prefer for Jared to answer that I am not able to, we can table it as well. So,
Yeah, I think our goal with doing this was just to kind of simplify the uses. There's uses that are kind of from the dark ages that kind of been carried forward, and I think his goal and our goal, as we discussed it with him, was just to make this a little more manageable. Is that a general, fairly general comment about it?
I think that would be an accurate statement. That was
Okay.
certainly a goal, and specifically moving maybe a lot of conditional uses to permitted uses if there wasn't a reason to have a conditional use process, both for staff efficiency and for the customer efficiency.
Yeah, he looks like he cut a lot out, so he definitely cleaned up a lot.
Did.
And sure enough, after this gets all approved, we'll have something come forward. It's a use that won't fit into one of these categories.
Never get around.
Don't approve. Don't approve.
Are we recommending to council then?
Yeah.
This would be a recommendation to council.
Yeah, and then it would go through the ordinance process, correct?
Correct.
First reading and 2 readings, okay?
So there's going to be multiple more
Yes.
reviews of this.
And then, if there's more questions, Jared would be available, if there's a further review, or further questions, kind of thing. Well, we discussed this and gave staff a direction to move forward on it, so they've done that, and here it is. So, been pretty clear what those changes are, so.
Yeah, I'm comfortable. I know that, I think the mayor spent time with Jared and went
Mm-hmm.
through this, kind of fine tooth combing it, and I'm comfortable recommending approval to council.
Mayor, you want to comment? Do you have any thing you'd like to say about this ordinance?
Yeah, Jared and I spent numerous hours on the discussion of this, and so I feel comfortable that it is that it's probably in the city's best interest, and it's also, from a technical standpoint, it's in a good place too. So unless any commissioners saw anything in there, I know it's difficult to go through these things and understand those, but I do feel comfortable that Jarrett was able to explain to me the changes that he wanted to make and the changes that I wanted to make, and so I think we got a pretty good end product here, and one that we can work well with.
Okay, thank you. All right, are we ready to take some action?
Yeah, I'm calling what I said, the motion to recommend to council.
Okay, thanks, Eric. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, Justin seconds. To recommend ordinance number 24-2022 to the council for further action. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion, I meant to say aye, by the way. Opposed, there was no votes. Motion carries. Sorry about that, guys. I stumbled a little
I
bit.
gotcha. I gotcha.
Yes. Thank you. Well, I'm not chewing gum, so that's good. All right, so we got reports. Probably pretty straightforward, right?
Pretty straightforward. I reviewed these before the meeting. I think the only thing to note, this might be, forgive me if I'm wrong, but I think this is the
First time
the
we've
first
seen
time
this
we've
new
seen the
software.
Yeah, I haven't seen that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
It is cool. So it's got colors and graphs. And
Yeah, I
charts.
can understand it too. That makes me.
Yeah, so you can see the breakdown and how that looks.
Yeah.
Nothing that I saw that was out of the ordinary. A lot of roofing permits, I noticed. When we get to, let's see, Yeah, permits issued by type here. So there's the zoning permit breakdown and the building permit breakdown. The zoning permit, you can see how many conditional use permits, change of use, site plan review, residential, site sign permits, et cetera. So kind of nice. I actually think it's an automated report that's a little more efficient for our staff, and it turned out that I think it's visually attractive and educational too.
Is there enforcement?
There is.
Data?
That's at the end, and there is a. Oh yeah, here.
What
this
is that?
is.
Pretty one.
Here's another one on page 84. Permits issued by month. I think that's another useful benchmarking comparison. And then on page 80, last page of the packet, page 87, a couple nuisances, or one nuisance I see on there. And another one, storage container and driveway, where someone was contacted to clean that up.
What does it mean, like for, let's see, like up on page 78, no, sorry, go down. Page 79, what does it mean when they had zero? They didn't have to pay a fee for a permit or anything? What would that be?
It looks like a
Like those water
grant,
laterals?
Angela.
What was that?
Is that because of that's going to be a Jared question, but I think it might have something to do with the DNR and their grant program.
Yeah, the lead line.
Okay.
No,
Yeah.
no, not
No?
for them too. Those are electrical. So my guess would be if they pull a building permit and then they need multiple other permits with it. I mean, they pay for the building permit, but then you don't pile on top electrical permit.
That's what I was wondering,
Plumbing
yeah.
permit.
Because like one of
No.
them looks like it's plumbing, so maybe they had already done a permit for a previous.
Okay.
I noticed one is this building, so we're not going to charge ourselves a permit fee, South Main Street.
Like
Yeah.
Granite Street. That must be.
That's not me. I live close to that, but
I
that is
know.
not me.
I made
just
sure it
want you to
wasn't.
know
I
that.
made sure you weren't. It wasn't you.
Well, what about this deck that they're doing? 12 by 20 deck, nothing there. No fee.
I bet
We can
it's
look
'cause
into. That's a good question. We can. Oh yeah, I see a couple more.
I think what Justin said makes sense because I'm recognizing these addresses. They're like big projects, so it's probably they already pulled a permit from a previous month. So then,
So
they're
those,
just-
yeah,
You know-
that and the grant programs too. It's not just the lead line; it's also the downtown.
I was.
I saw a couple Main Street ones on there. So
And no, yeah, I was thinking that too. Maybe. Go ahead.
You know, I wonder, Aaron, if there's another way of sorting those, and you can sort them, the permits by address instead of by, by mechanical or plumbing. And does that make it easier to understand?
Yeah, good question. I made a note here. I'll check with Jared on that. We'll clarify some of these questions for Angela and the rest of the commissioners.
Yeah,
I
I've
would
seen
guess we
some
can.
odd stuff, like you got one here at 2295 Young Drive, 12 by 20 deck, 0 paid. Then you've got a 10 by 12 deck, 370, and then a 16 by 24, $641. Just see they're all decks. And yet one paid 0 and one paid 641.
Yeah, we'll have to look into that.
Well, I think he did want some input on sort of what we should be tracking. I'm trying to think back. I think we kind of said they must have some formatted reports because clients were no different than every other municipality, and we want useful information. So it'd be
Overall, it looks
interesting to
great.
know if this was one of the boilerplate reports. You know,
Yeah,
and to
right.
the mayor's point, maybe we have some flexibility, of course, to do something different.
I do think it looks great. I like to see the charts, and I mean it's kind of neat to see it by, mechanical plumbing. Right?
All the
Well,
detail.
and is it really important for us? Is it or isn't it important for us to even see the fees? Aren't we more interested in what the projects are, not necessarily what we charge for them?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's probably a fair comment. I mean,
I was just
from
curious.
a plan commission standpoint.
It doesn't matter
Yeah.
to me.
I get it.
Yeah, our staff are the ones interested in the fees, making sure they're current and collected. Yeah, that's a good point, Brian. Thank you. Okay, so what do we? This is just informational. You'll go back to Jared and get the input back to him, and we can just discuss it when you bring the report next month.
Sounds great.
A lot of activity. I think it's really good to see. And then the last item on the agenda is development update. Anything to state?
I'll just mention a couple things that are kind of bigger items that we continue conversations on. So obviously, Plan Commission's aware of River North and the development agreement that was signed with HDG. The structure of that agreement has them going out and looking for that owner-operator investor as a third party that will get approved eventually by the city council. They are making those pitches to a few people or a few different organizations or companies in this month, December. Expect to hear feedback on those pitches in January, early February. Also, I did have it in my last council report, but the St. Mary's property did sell. We are expecting that a site plan application come forward and a potential request for a development agreement, or not potential, we're expecting a request for a development agreement for that property in January.
Which property?
The St. Mary's, the old
really?
St. Mary's property.
Wow, that's awesome.
That's awesome. And that's in a TIF district still?
It is.
When you put the downtown district together, this got wrapped into that new downtown district?
So this is still in TIF
10? Oh, it is, okay.
Yeah, and we have, that expenditure period for TIF 10 expires in June of 2023.
Oh, okay. So we got a little time. Good timing.
When do you think we'll be seeing something come forward on that? Planning?
Within the next month, we're expecting. And we might actually, it's possible that a development agreement proposal comes forward to council before a site plan comes forward to Plan Commission.
Makes sense.
So,
That's real difficult building. Okay, this was just on my mind only because I went past it on the way here. The movie theater downtown, any movement on that? I think the last report was that they're waiting on some equipment. That's still the case?
as the last I heard, that is the
Yeah,
case.
'cause that's a real pivotal piece to the downtown. I hope we don't lose it.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, with, anybody have any other questions for the staff? All right, ready, it's the witching, or is there a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All right, we got a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All right. Motion carries. The meeting is adjourned, and our next Plan Commission meeting is Wednesday, January 4,
Whole year
or
away.
until further call. Did I get that right? Or something like that?
Subject to call.
Okay, fairly close. Oh, subject to call. Thank you.
Yeah.
We're 25 years here and I can't remember it. All right, great.
We're
Well, thanks,
adjourned at
everyone.
5:55.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Henry.
Oh, we adjourned at 5:55 PM for the record.
All right, perfect.